We needed to raise $39 million to get the doors opened. We would have a construction bill of $10 million due in 2 weeks. Where are we going to get the money? We don't have that money.
Construction going on at a feverish pace in Sandy. Hale Centre Theatre.
Hale Centre Theatre.
Hale Centre Theatre.
Giant Hale Centre Theatre.
Hale Centre Theatre is about to open for its first show.
And as far as live theater venues go, this one is quite unique.
What makes this place so special?
We take the latest technology and we infuse it into traditional Broadway musicals. The audience is seeing stuff they've never seen before.
It's been really fun to have us come together and be able to have something that we both love be our life's work.
When you're in theater, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle.
And it started in the middle of the night with a dream from him in the mid-90s. We used to try to do shows for $30. Now our shows upwards of $1 million just for the set. The secret sauce is
Utah has the #1 economic outlook in the country 17 years running. It's consistently ranked as one of the top 10 places to live, and people are moving here in droves. Yet, most dismiss Utah as ski slopes, religious stereotypes, and awkward reality TV. This podcast pulls back the curtain on the Utah hidden in plain sight, the untold stories behind our most iconic businesses, and our incredible entrepreneurial spirit. Whether you're a local looking for your next favorite spot, an entrepreneur looking for hard-won wisdom, or you're just Utah curious, these are the stories you won't hear anywhere else. This is UtahPreneur.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about this room we're in, and of course, largely the building that we're in. What's the story behind it?
So we have different hosting rooms. This is called the Producer's Lounge, and it hosts smaller groups of people, up to about 16 for dinner. And we have a floor in this new theater that was finished in 2017. So this is a really good floor of the mezzanine. The Greater Theater has 2 theaters, the theater in the round that seats 911, and the Proscenium Thrust, which is the Jewel Box. And the theater in the round is the Young Living Center Theater, center stage. And then we have the Jewel Box, the Sorensen Legacy Jewel Box stage, which seats 467 in this particular building.
We are very, very fortunate as being a nonprofit organization. We are actually guided by a board of trustees. We have about 70 people, very successful people in their own right, and a whole lot of different
It's an enviable board. Amazing board.
And this board meets on a regular basis in committees and then in the semi-annual committee meetings and so forth. And we have received tremendous help and guidance from their not only visionary abilities, but their practical abilities.
And their outreach.
In terms of being able to help. And oh my goodness, they were so helpful in the fundraising efforts.
I'm sure.
To be able to put together the money necessary for this building. From Sandy City, we were able to get a bond of $43 million. But within an 18-month time period, we, as a theater group, we needed to raise $39 million to get the doors opened on this building. And in the arts, that's very rare.
And that was, West Valley was like 7.5, right?
Yeah, $7.2 million for that building itself, plus the land. But this building, well, it was, we had to come up with $82 million to get this place opened.
Yeah.
That was no easy feat, and it was a little it was unsettling, a lot of stress. But the miracles somehow lined up, and we just continued to see things happen that were amazing. We would have a construction bill of $10 million due in 2 weeks, and it was like, where are we going to get the money? We don't have that money. Where's it going to come from?
Every gray hair he has in his head.
And oh my gosh, a lot of sleepless nights, but a lot of good people working really hard. And our board in particular really bought into the vision of the theater, recognized the value that it has in the community. And somehow or other, things would turn up, and we made all of our commitments, and here we are in a theater that is very enviable in the eyes of many who are in the arts, in particular theater throughout the country. And you would be very surprised to see some of the theaters and arts organizations that are coming our way, wanting to either figure out what's our secret sauce, or in some cases wanting to sheep steal some of our great people.
I'm sure.
And I guess that's a compliment to what's been created. This year we're celebrating our 40th year.
Yeah.
Since we started in 1985. And this is the third building, the third venue that we have landed in, gratefully. But it started with a very, very humble, meager little building at 2801 South Main Street. And we bought Grandma and Grandpa Hale, Ruth and Nathan Hale, my grandparents, had invited us to link arms with them, along with their daughter, Sally Hale Rice, and her husband, and to start a theater here in the Salt Lake area back in 1985. And the building that they found was originally a lingerie factory, and looked like kind of an X-rated movie joint, and was a very interesting industrial part of South Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And anyway, we ended up doing what we needed to create and convert that little building into a theater, and found that immediately almost we were selling out. And within the next 18 to 24 months, we knocked out a wall on the south side and went from 220 seats up to 350. And then a little while later found out we could put in a few more seats here and there. We got up to 387 seats. And we operated there for 13 years. And it was just some of our strongest memories are in that initial place.
We should be picked up for breaking all child labor laws because our children, were helping us with everything and working late into the night and early into the mornings and doing changeovers. And so, it was our family farm. It's what we did as a family to be able to make ends meet and make things work.
And back in those days, we did most everything, including the janitorial. It was a ground
Grassroots
type of an operation, and we loved it. We had tremendous people that came on board in terms of talent, actors who wanted to be involved, and immediate success when patrons found out that Ruth and Nathan Hale had moved from Southern California, where they had a theater since 1947. A lot of Southern California transplants had moved up here into the Salt Lake Valley, and the word got out that there was a new theater that they were familiar with down there. And so that helped fill our houses very quickly.
Wow. So you grew up, Mark, with Grandma and Grandpa Hale running, church theater.
Well,
they had the original theater.
My mom is the oldest daughter of Ruth and Nathan Hale, and 10 years after Grandma and Grandpa started the theater in Southern California, they were bursting at the seams on a little building that they had converted into a theater, and they needed to build a larger theater. And at that point, they invited my folks to come in as partners with them. My father's dad had passed away, left him a little bit of an inheritance, and they pooled their resources and opened another theater, a larger one. And so that is the environment that I grew up with. Many of the shows that were done were shows that Grandma and Grandpa Hale actually wrote. They were very accomplished playwrights, many of those shows were published and done throughout the country. But when there was a kid, that was my age as I was growing up, Grandma would say, "Mark, you're in that show." That's and we grew up. At age 8, I was the janitor of the theater, we would sell concessions and sell tickets and help seat people. And at age 11, I was a stage manager, operating the lights and turning on the tape recorder, a reel-to-reel tape recorder at that time. During the scene changes. And so, being involved in that environment, and when you're in theater, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle, and somehow or other,
100%.
The world seems to revolve
24/7
around theater. And so, that's what I grew up with, and I found, unbeknownst to me, there was a real love and passion for theater that was being instilled within me as I grew up. And
it was it the acting or just seeing the experiences?
you know, it was just an exciting environment to be in. Actors in particular are very fun people.
They are not boring in the least.
Yeah, Grandma Hale would always say, when I go to heaven, I want to live on the street with all the actors because no one knows how to enjoy life and get as much out of it as the actors do. And it's true. They're a fun group of people. They're very passionate about life. We have found here in this environment where we have hired so many people in the arts with their particular passions towards costume design or building new props or creating sets or simply designing shows and directing and on and on and on. We live amongst a very vibrant group of people, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes.
And along with it, there's sometimes a little more drama behind what happens on stage than what we would like.
We're really good at that now. We've been at it for so. I mean, you know, they just wear their hearts on their sleeve, and it's the dearest thing.
When you got that call, you guys were living out of state, right?
Yes.
We were actually living in Pocatello, Idaho at the time.
Okay. Big city.
I was working for Xerox.
Okay.
And I talked Sally into opening a theater in Pocatello, Idaho.
This was
there.
nothing I wanted to do. I thought,
And,
what is the matter with you?
We worked with a realtor, and he found a reception center that we felt we could convert into a theater. And the night before we made the offer on that building, Grandma and Grandpa Hale called us.
We love Pocatello.
And
We love it.
Had they caught wind of what you were doing?
They heard that we were thinking about starting a theater up there in Idaho, and you know, they had retired about a few years earlier, and basically they found that retirement makes you sick, and they realized, you know, we've got to get back into doing theater, that which we've always done. So we've got a reason to get up in the morning, and you know,
They were in their 70s, right?
yeah, they were in their mid 70s, but they called
Who
us.
starts a theater in your mid-70s?
They called us that night and they said, hey, you guys, don't do a theater in Pocatello. Move down here to Salt Lake and let's together start a theater and do something fun together. And by golly, that was the beginning of the journey and Mr. Toad's wild ride. And it has been,
You know,
it has been an adventure, both exciting. The highs and the lows have been all over the place. And it's been a very, very fulfilling life. Let me just put it that way.
But we busted out the seams. And so we knew we couldn't build anymore on the land that we had there in South Salt Lake. And so we had to go from a for-profit business to a not-for-profit business in 1997, so that in 1998 we could open a new theater. We had partnered with West Valley City and as a not-for-profit, and they helped us with bonding, and we paid off the bonding with lease payments. And we built a 530-seat theater in the round at that time. He woke up in the night with the idea that just being a center stage was great, but if we could get it to do something. So he came up with an idea of a center round and 4 different sections around that to make a round stage that would move and change. And back at that period of time, everything has to be hardwired. We looked all over the United States for an engineering company that would actually do something that didn't need to be hardwired, and no one in the U.S. was wanting to try it. We found someone in Montreal, Canada, a group, an engineering group called Gala, and they said, we'd like to attempt it. Eventually, after some trial and error, came up with an ability to move that stage. So we were the first of its kind to really get a moving stage going in center stage, and a pretty good fly system for center stage, which wasn't available either. Grew out of that 530 seats really fast, which amazed us because we thought we'll never grow out of 530, and went to 613 by knocking out a pony wall around the back of the stage, around the back wall, and then started ramping up, and over time, up to 16 performances a week. We couldn't keep up with it. we had to move again. Because
Yeah, we
couldn't
operated there
build
for
on
almost
that.
20 years. And,
Yeah.
and then it became apparent that we needed to find a bigger and better space. And in designing a new building at that point, it had been many years with our creatives that we would often say to ourselves, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this? Or wouldn't it be awesome if we could just do this? And so there was really a compilation of many different people and their ideas that came up with the design for this theater that we are in now.
From beginning on a little flat stage that looked like an X-rated movie joint. When we opened it, November the 17th of 2017, we had a little media room, and one of the people from a magazine came up and asked me, how does it feel to have your dream come true? And I said, this isn't my dream. You can't dream this. I didn't ever think that we would get to this. But this became true because of the people who just kept coming through the door, seeing what's next, give us more and give us more. It was pressure on the seats. The seats were filling and we had to grow. And every time we grew, it was because we had to grow. There was no choice in the matter. We had to give it. So it has been such an amazingly wild ride, unlike any that I would have ever imagined as a little girl growing up in Wyoming. I wouldn't have imagined this.
So cool.
Sally and I differ a little bit on that.
Okay.
That viewpoint.
I don't think you dreamed this.
I've always believed in the quote that says, without a dream, you'll never have a dream come true. And so I do believe that she had something going on in her head and her heart.
Not this.
Oh, no. But,
Are you kidding me?
but still, we knew that we wanted to make an impact for good. Mm-hmm. And this place, my goodness, we see about 600,000 people a year who come in to see shows. And now, soon, when we open the new theater, and at the end of this year in the Beehive, we'll be filling seats about 750,000 times per year.
Wow!
And that's a lot of folks coming in to see theater.
30,000 season ticket holders.
Hopefully it has an ability to somehow impact them in a positive way.
Enriching lives through world-class theater.
Oh my
Good.
goodness.
Our mission statement.
Turn on your hearing aids, T-coil.
And yes, turn on your hearing aids. Oh, and that's the other thing. It's so cool. In the center stage in the Jewel Box, anywhere you sit in any of those seats, if your T-coil is turned on in your hearing aid, and 80% or more now of hearing aids have it, you get a direct feed from the sound system.
Oh, it's beautiful.
When we had people come in the first time and experience that, one man in particular who's nearly deaf, and he had been a long time attender, visually he would see things, but he was so excited for that system, so he came in preview performance the very first time and sat in the room and had that feed go in his ear and just sobbed.
Wow.
I mean, I couldn't even, Jeff affected me so much that night, just watching what had happened to him because he could hear.
Wow.
The main thing with this building that we wanted to have was, number one, it needed to look like a world-class theater, an arts facility, a venue that people would feel special when they came into this building, and yet at the same time feel at home.
Yeah.
And we think from the feedback we've gotten from patrons over the years that that's how they feel. And then secondly is that when they do go in and experience a show, that it will somehow impact them. I love the most concise response that I have ever heard came from my grandma, Ruth Hale. When asked the question, why do you do theater? She would always say, we do theater to give people an emotional bath. And I think that hits it on the head.
Yeah.
And there is something, I don't know, refreshing, new, exciting when you go through those emotions and you vicariously experience what the actors on stage are going through as the plot of the story and the play or the musical unfolds. And it's just cool and it's exciting to know that in some way, this is our way of hopefully making the world a little bit better.
Yeah.
We put it all together. We had a company by the name of Tate come in to take care of, to do the actual mechanical engineering necessary to have all these stages moving in the way that they do. You know, it was interesting when they came in to do the installation here. The theater was, the staging and the overhead rigging was designed in Pennsylvania, and then their manufacturing plant was over just outside of London. And so they actually manufactured it over there. They assembled it all, put it together, made sure that it would work, and then disassembled it, put it on ships, transferred it over here, and then on trains, and then eventually ended up here, and it was assembled. And thank goodness it all worked.
Took 8 months to assemble it.
You know, and in addition to all the staging wizardry that we have, we decided we would put in LED walls around the circumference of the theater. So behind the back row of seats, there are large LED screens that help us to establish location or just the emotion of the scene and so forth. And then we have incorporated the latest and greatest stage technology. We built the theater so it would be flexible to be able to incorporate all the new stuff that would come along that we didn't even know existed back when we designed it.
It's true. And part of it is, we have a flying system. That's part of what Tate has installed, not just the moving stage, but the fly system above, so that we can bring, flyers in. We can do Cirque-style flying. So there are theaters, not a lot, but there are theaters that have parts and bits and pieces of the technology, but there's no place, we are told by Tate, that has all of the technology all in one house like we have. So it's kind of cool, and it started in the middle of the night with a dream from him in the mid 90s to that this is what needed to happen.
But what's really interesting is we have created a different type of theater experience, because we take the incredible technology that's currently available and we infuse it into traditional Broadway musicals. And in so doing, the audience is seeing stuff they've never seen before. And of course, the main thing is the plot and the story of the show.
It is.
And what's really cool about this technology is that it just helps to tell the story better. Yeah. And it creates more of a impactful experience so that people, as they're watching it, the technology in some cases becomes almost like another character in the show. To see sets transform and come in around actors, and you got stages coming up and down and sliding in and out, and overhead stuff. I mean, it's coming from everywhere, and it's a very exciting. We oftentimes refer to it as a wow experience that the audience has.
What we try to specialize in is helping people have that those amazing moments in. Sometimes they don't even realize that the stage is moving. All of a sudden, they're in a new place, it's just been so seamless. Other times, we want it to really do wow. And that's what we get.
We rarely go to a blackout in between scenes. And that's the traditional way that theater has, over the centuries, used to change from one location or one scene to another.
It's a major
change. You just turn off the lights and they haul off all the current set, and then they bring on the new, and then you're up again.
Yeah.
And they try to do it as fast as possible. But sometimes, if you're sitting there as an audience, and you're sitting in the dark, next thing you know, you're thinking, what time is it? I got to get home, and we got to get the babysitter back. Or, oh boy, I got to get up early for work in the morning. As Sally mentioned, being able to perform and go through an entire show in a seamless fashion with rarely a blackout, it just makes the whole thing live, and the experience just goes from A to Z before you even know it.
This whole discussion reminds me of a moment I had with my wife at Treasure Island a few years ago. Yeah, he dives in the water. We looked at each other. My wife goes, "Where did he go?" And then the whole way home, where did he go? It's so amazing.
Yeah, because that stage can be a big swimming pool.
We had an 11,000 gallon water a pool basically under the stage.
Yeah.
And we utilized that, and it was so fun to see pirates diving in and falling, getting shot and falling in. I mean, just all these crazy things.
And we laughed because, we're building the Beehive stage now, and our chief engineer around here, he said, and I made sure we could put water on the stage. It's all ready to catch it because he knows us. Here's what's great, is that theater is sort of the granddaddy of the arts. It involves music. It involves dance. It involves the actual paint media arts. Yeah. It involves engineering arts, mechanical arts. It involves philosophy and history. Anything that computer arts, anything you can think of pretty much can be involved with live stage theater. So the more of those that we can infuse within what we're doing, the more fun it is. We have technicians who get to work on a level that they don't normally get to get. Designers who have toys that they're geeking out. They're having such fun creating on such a high level. We have people who've come to us from Disney saying, Disney's boring compared to this. So from the 6 of us who began, we now have, on W-2s at any given year right now, with all of our full-time, our regular part-time, then our production teams, all of the paid actors, all of that. Around 950 people a year being paid to work in the arts in whatever art field they're in. I mean, just amazing things that they get a chance to do. And this thrills us.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we're fully aware when you become a not-for-profit that we are a community entity, and we owe this community so much. We're not a community theater. We're professional non-equity. But we are the community's theater, we hope.
Yes.
We hope that when they come in the door, they feel ownership, they feel pride, that when the whole community can audition. There is such talent here.
Yeah.
And we get people sending in video auditions from all over the United States, sometimes outside. But we want to use the community because this is theirs. And we also have an education program, which is growing by leaps and bounds. Toyota International donates about $175,000 a year to help us with that, plus other people.
And these are like theater camps for kids.
Oh, well, some of it, but there's more because we have, they donated a van, which wasn't available to anybody else. We got it. And they wrapped it with all the Hale Centre Theatre stuff.
I saw it on the way in.
Toyota stuff. Yeah. It goes all over the state with a troupe called the Story Weavers.
Yes.
And I was a high school teacher, and so education is huge for me. So from very early on, I said I want an education program, and we've had one almost the entire time all along the way, but nothing to what we can do now. But this little group goes out and they do a half-hour play for schools all over, or they come in here and they get the show, and they also get a tour. But these they do these wonderful message-based things that they're good, wholesome things about joy and happiness and taking care of money and how you feel about yourself, and really great messages for kids. And then they have a talk back for about 10 minutes. This is a great story. Down in the Four Corners area, hardly anyone goes. They hadn't had theater in the Four Corners area. That's down by the Navajo reservation.
Yeah.
Those kids have just not had this. But for the last 3 years, the Story Weavers have been going down into there. And it takes a day or two travel. A day travel, and they stay overnight. But when they went in, one of the sweetest stories was for the younger kids, they had done a production, a little short show of The Ugly Duckling. And they asked for feedback from these littler children, which was first through fourth grade. And they said, what did you learn? And one little sweet child raised his hand and said, I learned that I'm not ugly. And I thought, these are things that theater can teach in a way that lasts and stays with people. Theater teaches in such beautiful ways, and to be able to now get out into the community and have an effect is thrilling to me. Last year they got to over 60 schools, I think. It's growing a little more. We get into the juvenile prison systems with movies and things that we can help with. Story Weavers also went into Primary Children's Hospital this year, and they want us back so that they can act for those kids. So there's so much more that we can do in the way of community outreach that helps people understand that we love where we are and we want to be a facilitator for good in any way we possibly can. This really matters to us. It matters to everyone we employ. They all get behind it. They get excited about that.
Yeah. When theater first started, it was meant to be a cathartic experience. You go in, you experience this almost cleansing, right? The bath.
Yeah, change.
So you're bringing that mobily now. Which is
That's
very
what
cool.
what we hope. And the other thing that we do every year, and we've done this for many years now, 14,000 kids come free of charge to the equivalent 2 different shows a year, and docent materials are sent out to those teachers so that they can get the kids prepped for what they're going to see. And they come in free of charge, and they see theater, and many of them, for the very first time, experience what the arts are like. Arts are essential.
Yeah.
They train the heart. Art is in the name of heart. You can see it in there. It's right in there. And it changes people. It helps them think. They don't have to go through the experience because they can see the experience. And it can be changing to them. We did West Side Story one time. Kids in chains from the juvenile detention facility.
Sure.
And I could see that they were hardened. They did going to the theater, coming in, just cold faces. So they got into their seats. At intermission, I was kind of sitting behind. I didn't want anyone to know who I was. I was sitting behind a bunch of them, and they started looking at each other in a more of a softened way. At the end, when there's the killing in the gangs that happens in West Side Story, which is, it's Romeo and Juliet. It's just hard to watch. They were silent. And all the way out, they were silent. And I knew they had learned something, and they had related it to their experience. But it teaches in ways that you don't have to learn in other ways. And also, it cross-trains the brain. Music especially will cross-train the brain so that you're just smarter. You pick things up faster. You do better in math. You do better in all of these other subjects because of the arts. We can't let it go.
Yeah.
We have to make sure it's still premier in what we do. And in Utah, we have twice the number, during this in national surveys, twice the number of theater supporters of any other state in the nation per capita. And this is a little side note, twice the number of pianos in homes. Isn't that great?
Yeah, amazing. I saw you mention both of those, and the pianos one makes so much sense. But the support for the arts here, and you guys leading the way, I lived out of state for a while, and there's just nothing like the community here and having this staple where you can just go sit back and say, I know I'm going to have a world-class experience, which is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and one of the things, she mentions that this has not been an easy life in many respects.
Yeah.
And I'm married to Mr. Theater, and he's married to Mrs. Theater, and saying that we're going to stop talking about it right now tonight so we can sleep. It's hard.
It is. It
Dinner
carries
table
over,
conversations.
unfortunately. But it's interesting when we'll sometimes stand up here on the mezzanine and overlook the crowds as they're coming out of the theater, and to just see their reactions, to see the excitement of talking with their friends or family that they've come with. In some cases, to see people in tears, or to see huge smiles and enthusiastic conversation, and
Little children coming with them.
Without question, they've had something that has impacted them in a major way.
It's been really fun to have us come together and be able to have something that we both love be our life's work.
Amazing.
I know we're talking to an audience of entrepreneurs and people in business and so forth. What we have found that has truly been the key to our success is getting people who are just committed to what we do, who understand our vision and who buy into it 100%. And then what we have done over the years, it used to be very much of a centralized leadership type of a effort to push things and make things grow with Sally and I. But as many years ago, that leadership has been changed so that we utilize very, very capable people within our organization. We have officers and executives who meet on a regular basis and try to oversee the regular ongoing operations of the theater, and then putting great trust in the department heads of the various aspects of the theater. We have a leadership team that involves all of the main components of the
disciplines.
Theater. And then under them is a myriad of middle management leaders who oversee their departments, most of whom are women, actually, which is really cool.
It's crazy, the technical ability of women. And a lot of people say women aren't in technical positions. Oh, yes, they are.
I mean, we have women who are welders and set construction and all kinds of things. But in terms of I've just found it to be very interesting that the majority of our middle management leaders are women.
They are, and they're amazing. And the secret sauce is to hire the best and give them wings and let them fly. Don't micromanage, because if you've got all of the elements of people who are disciplined, they're loyal, they believe in the cause, they know what the parameters are, and they're able to work within it, and they fly. Because when you micromanage a creative, you don't get the creativity you want. I mean, it's counterintuitive, right? Creative people think out of the box, and you want them to do that.
Yeah.
What we've turned into is being the fan club of all of the people who work for us. And I can't tell you how many times I've said to someone, one of our department heads or managers, lighting design or sound or whomever it may be, costumes, wow, I would have never thought of that.
We're doing what?
And to see their creativity and to see it come to life and integrate within the story of the show and the plot and the whole. I mean, we oftentimes refer to this place as a big jigsaw puzzle. Yeah. Because there are so many different pieces that are required to actually get a show to come together. I've used the word many times here, miracle. To see things actually happen within the deadlines. Yeah. I mean, we have an opening for a show, and we got 911 people that have already booked, and we have to be ready to open that show.
Yeah. When we started in South Salt Lake, in our home, we had a floral Waverly couch. And in the other home, our partners' homes, they had a gold brocade couch. And we would do these living rooms, and we would rotate out of our living rooms the floral Waverly couch or the gold brocade couch most of the time. Finally, we got a letter about a year in that said, if I see that floral Waverly couch on the stage one more time, I'm never coming back. So the couch stayed in my living room after that. I didn't have to take it back. But that's how we did it. We used to try to do shows for $30. Now our shows will be upwards of $1 million just for the set. If you saw Beauty and the Beast,
Yeah.
you saw $1 million set, and that didn't include costuming. It's such an amazing thing to see what the growth has been over 40
To be
years.
able to invest in the best. And like you said, the worst thing you could do is hire smart people and tell them what to do.
That's right. You don't do that. In fact, I think micromanagement in a very successful company doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Well, and then the other, Sally mentioned Beauty and the Beast was over the top.
Yeah.
It was unlike anything we've ever done before. And in terms of the set design for that particular show, it was amazing. But we actually found that with our, I'll call it limited resources, we only have X number of people, and we only have so much space in which to build sets.
And so much time.
And we found ourselves in that situation where, by golly, we realized to accomplish what the set designer had come up with, we had to go beyond our group of people and our own resources. And so we actually had to farm out the set to 4 different scenic shops throughout the country.
Upstate New York. I mean, just these
in order to accomplish the whole thing and get it all put together in time. And so, we are discovering that, and this is important for any business, and that is, by golly, look carefully at what the outside resources are that you can tap into, utilize their expertise, and make it your own.
Have them on call
Mm-hmm.
when you need them. So I think you've spoken to this. I just want to shout this out because if anybody hasn't experienced this, they should. Every time I have to switch a ticket, it's the best phone conversation I've ever had. Like best phone experience with the business. You call up, you're on the phone within 30 seconds. They're like, yep, I switched it for you. Need anything else? No, that's good. Yeah. Anywhere else I'm calling today takes at least 15 minutes to accomplish something like that.
Do you know what Marcus always told the box? And boy, front of house is so excellent. Our front of house teams are so
The
amazing.
concessions team is
Concession
I feel
hosting, they're just, I mean, this is the way it needs to be. But he just always tells them, especially in the box office, do what makes sense. I mean, sometimes you hit a hard and fast rule, and it was done for some reason. We don't know why, but in that particular situation, it doesn't make sense. So you do what makes sense to help people. You want people to come. You want them to feel good.
And my grandparents were really unique, wonderful, loving, beautiful people. Grandma Hale in particular had a personality that was just vibrant. And she made people feel so loved and so appreciated and so welcomed. When she was in the room, everyone knew it. You could feel her presence. And so what we have tried to help people understand, especially the front of house folks, in trying to maintain our culture here, is to simply be an outward expression of Grandma Hale. And if you have a question, a difficult, unusual circumstance, what would Grandma Hale do? You just think of what that would be and do it.
I love it.
And that's kind of how we've operated. And people, I think, who work for us here are very grateful to be involved in a really unique business that does a tremendous amount of good. And people come here to have a positive experience. It's not only a gathering place for friends and family, but it's a happy place. And how many businesses out there exist to provide happiness to other people? And we have our unique way of doing it. And of course, there are many others. The happiness is the end product of what is the end result of your product or service. Hopefully that'll happen. But we exist to, while a theater patron is sitting in the seat, we're hoping that they feel something, that the outcome is that they're going to feel happy or some other strong emotions that'll carry through and make a positive impact on them.
And Grandma Hale, died in the early 2000s. Grandpa before that. Not very many people remember her anymore.
Yeah.
So anytime you have, and they really began this in 1934.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a whole story that goes before that, and I know we don't have time for that today.
Coming up on 100 years.
The thing is that culture that they established, those personas that they always had, to keep that culture fresh and moving forward is a goal. And we hope that when people come here, not only to see shows, but to be in shows or to work here as they do, that they feel that culture of welcoming and goodness and helpfulness and happiness
Kindness.
and kindness. That's what we hope for, because it's just, there's too much out there in the world that just makes it hard. We want here to feel better and to solve some of those issues.
Part of what we do is fulfill the little quote that says, variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
And we know of many people who have season tickets, and they, especially some of the older folks, they have told us that the big highlight or the major events in their life is coming to the theater every couple of months to see a show. And especially when they get to do that with family or some particular friend. So hopefully we are achieving that opportunity for some people. It's the great escape. It's doing something outside of their normal everyday lives.
Yeah.
And
So that's fun.
so we do believe that variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an easy sale.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not foisting anything upon people.
Exactly.
We love to close out with asking you, what 3 Utah businesses do you feel like make Utah worth living in? They could be connected to your journey, just something that you enjoy visiting or that you love.
Well, I'm going to talk about one. You can talk about the 2 others because you asked us to think about that.
Yeah.
This is hard because we love so much about Utah and we do so many things. But there is a tiny little restaurant in Bountiful called Plates and Palettes. If you haven't been there, you haven't tasted the freshest salad or the best panini in town, or, every once in a while I have this carrot cake that is so good. Anyway, this is a shout out for Plates and Palettes in Bountiful.
Hard agree.
And don't go there when I'm going there so I can get a seat, please.
Amazing.
I don't know. There's so many good things here in Utah. The thing that I love about Utah is the people. It doesn't matter what business you go to. The majority of our people here are happy. They're caring. They're willing to serve. They're willing to make life better. And just the positive interactions that I experience when I go to, be it a movie theater or a restaurant or some other type of an entertainment venue or wherever I am, I have to say that not always, but the majority of the time, we're dealing with people who seem to be happy and excited to be alive and who are glad that you're there, and they show and help you feel welcome through their gracious.
So what are the 2
interactions.
other ones that you're going to fill in so we know what I'm curious to know what you're going to mention. You're supposed to mention 2 other businesses.
2 other businesses?
What are those?
Well, you must know what it is.
Remember we talked about it.
I don't even remember.
I'll tell you, I was giving him a chance to do this. This is our life, folks. This is our life. So here, I'm going to remember for him. We want to thank 2 wonderful entities. Our chairman of the board is Rob Bruff. He works, he's kind of second in command at Zions Bank, and we adore him. So we have to give a shout out to him. It's been like 17 years. He's been our chairman. Wow. And then Mountain America has been such an amazing partner. They're right next door. Sterling Nelson as the president there. They have been supporting us all along the way. You know, they're the yin and the yang of the financial industries, and they've worked together to bring this, to really make sure this happens. And along with many, many other, too many to mention.
Yeah, major donors.
Major donors. And we we love them, and they continue to stay connected and involved. This is a great state full of amazing people.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. This has been amazing. I'm sure it's going to be a really popular episode, so I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for the
you.
invitation.
Oh.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning into this episode with Mark and Sally Dietlein of Hale Centre Theatre. If this episode inspired you like it inspired me, please send it to a friend. Also, last week's episode with Jeremy Barker of Murphy Door is one you are not going to want to miss. Talk about grit, 2 bankruptcies, getting scammed by a business partner, and still coming out with a $50 million plus business. Check it out. And as always, check out the links to the socials in the description. See you next week.